Okay, so the first on the tutorials is I think we're going to go over map work because this can be done now. And I do a lot of this during the off season. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way up here to the base of Shaw. Now I'm using this as solely just as a learning tool. This area that I'm highlighting, that I'm showing you, is completely off limits to bottom fishing. But it has some things in here that I look for when I'm looking for lingcod spots. So pinnacles, see these areas where they have pinnacles where it's getting shallower. These have me intrigued. So that would definitely get my attention. And then up here, along here, that looks like a really steep drop off in through that area. So the first thing I'm going to do is find these locations, and then I'm going to switch over and I'm going to go to the regulations. Okay, so Shaw Island, we're going to move our way over here to the regulations. Oh, there's Shaw Island. 4-5. Come down to the regulations. Section 4, Shaw Island. Explains exactly where it is, but if you go up from 4-5 to 4, it tells you that area is closed to bottom fishing activity. So, typically, I would just move on. I wouldn't even waste my time looking at this area. One of the reasons that I am choosing this area is because nobody can fish it, and it was the only chart that I didn't have notes on that I didn't want to share. So we're just going to break it down as though we could fish it, but again, do not go to this area and fish it. You will you will get in trouble. Anyways, so again, step 2, look at your regs. Make sure that the area you're looking at is legal to fish. If it's not, I don't even waste my time. I just move on, find something else. All right. Okay, so we figured out if we can legally fish or not. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move from my paper chart to my electronic chart. And at this point, I can really kind of pinpoint certain areas and places that I want to focus on. I can figure out how deep it is, where I need to be to stay within the 120-foot depth restriction. I'm also thinking about how to approach this in certain tides. Which tides is it going to fish better to not be snagging gear in? And then I'm also going to come over to the cliff face. This this spot in here, and figure out that's a nice cliff face. That's a good ambush point. That wall might be nice to drift on. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about those type of things as I'm addressing it. Okay, so from the electronic charts, I'm going to go over to my paper charts and just write some cryptic notes here. So this is a semicircle with an S with a slash through it, and that is my symbol for slack tide. So this is telling me I want a softer tide. The semicircle will be waxing, waning moon. Low sun because it's shallow. So we're talking overcast, early morning, late afternoon, late evening. And then if it ends up being like slack tide to incoming, I can always add a plus mark. And then up here, this area is going to be a little safer to do on a drift, so I can do it on a steeper tide. So full new moon symbol. It's a little deeper, so full sun should be okay. And then that's the direction, the flow that I particularly want. So that's typically an ebb. So that's just going to get me out the door, and then I'm going to take more notes as I go along. But I'm going to go out with a game plan. Leave the dock with a game plan. So that's kind of what I do in the off season, in a nutshell. And I recommend having probably half a dozen to a dozen or more locations, because you want to find out if it's fishable. If it is, you don't want to linger, meaning hit it, move on, let it breathe for a couple days, and then come back to it. If it's not hitting, leave it alone for a few days. You may want to go back and check it on a different tide.
Well, there you